7 o'clock. We'll call this meeting of the Goshen Board of Education to order. Mr. Siegel, roll, please.
Mrs. Pepperocking.
Here.
Mr. Herrera. Here. Mrs. Casey.
Here.
Mrs. Gray.
Here.
Mr. Benteen.
Here. I have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Tinker, you call the roll.
Mrs. Pepperocking.
Yes.
Mr. Herrera.
Yes.
Mrs. Casey.
Yes.
Mrs. Gray.
Yes.
Mr. Benteen.
Yes. At this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Flynn, Principal of Goshen Middle School, for the pledge.
All right, please stand with us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Come on up.
All right. Right, guys, come on up.
I'm going to go ahead and start as they get settled a little bit. As I was preparing for tonight, and I think I've done this before for the board, but I think the work that the board and our administrative team put together for our Portrait of a Graduate is probably one of the things that I feel most proud of being a part of. I feel like it's a great reflection of all of the things that every single educator and support staff works on for the fortunate time that we have all of the students in our community in our buildings. And so I just was going to give you guys a few highlights before we get started as an update. In terms of academically prepared, just a statistic that I calculated today was we have 204 accelerated students. That's about 30% of our student population, which I think is pretty incredible. We also have about 32% of our 8th grade students that are going to leave Goshen Middle School with 5 high school credits. So we do feel like we're working super hard to have our students be academically prepared. In terms of resiliency, our PBIS program is based on growth mindset for G. M is for motivation and S is for social responsibility. We feel like that falls into this section of the Portrait of a Graduate most. We've sent home 1,108 postcards this year. Our goal is 2,500 by the end of the school year. So we're pretty close. We're about how many, Mr. Edwards? 142 off?
Well, you're
target?
about 44% there.
Yeah. Thanks. But we're super proud of our students. They get stickers when they earn a letter that they can put on their Chromebook cases. And they also earn points in our house competitions. Is anybody up here going to the movies? Princeton? Yeah, our Princeton house is going to the movies. They won second quarter competitions. We have, in terms of effective communicators, I went through and I thought about all of the opportunities our students have to do presentations or communicate in ways other than just through texting their friends or on Snapchat. And we have lots of clubs. I feel like our student athletes, along with Drama Club, Warrior Watch Club, NGHS, Student Council, we have lots of opportunities. We have about 200 students. So again, 27 to 30% of our students each season, fall, winter, spring, are participating in something that gives them an opportunity outside of the academic day, but that also gives them an opportunity to build those communication skills. Social responsibility beyond just our PBIS program, students have about 12 to 15 different opportunities throughout the school year to participate in donating to some charity or participating in a cleanup. We cleaned up the stadium right before homecoming in our tribe groups. We sponsored an honor flight again this year in honor of Sarah Tiki. And for those of you that don't know, an honor flight is for a veteran. They take them to Washington, D.C. And our students raised enough money to sponsor that this year. We do the American Heart Association and Circle Tail, who has provided our famous Meg at the middle school. And then in terms of fearless learners, we feel like they're fearless every day in the classroom when they're taking, risks. But We have 47 different Encore or Warrior Workshop opportunities for our students. We have like 13 different STEM courses that they can participate in each quarter. We have 7 art, like different art classes. That's not including just our regular 6th, 7th, and 8th grade art. That's calligraphy and visual note-taking, like sketch notes, or there's a doodling class. So we feel really proud that we educate the whole student and we use Portrait of a Graduate to guide that. And so I just kind of wanted to give you that snapshot before you get to hear about this amazing group of young people and adults who kind of took something from me and grew it into something beyond, I know, what I had for expectations. So I'm going to turn it over to you.
Sure. All right, so we'll start off. I'm Mr. Dietrich. I'm one of the sponsors of Warrior Watch, and our staff members are Mr. Downey, who helps us out, and then Mrs. Fine. And we'll have each of the students just introduce themselves. We'll start with Nathan.
I'm Nathan.
Oh, yeah, I sorry.
He is a 2-time board member presenter. He was here last
Yeah,
January for
it's a
those of
big
you that, it's the 2nd time in a row.
I'm Daisy. I'm Ingrid. I'm Annalise. I'm Cecilia.
And we have a few others who couldn't be here tonight, about 10 members. And Wendy came to us with an idea, something we'd seen in another school and talked about, like, hey, think we could do a news broadcast for our school. And, I talked to Mrs. Schlegel before about, because I've watched the one that's produced here at GNN for the high school, and thought, yeah, it'd be cool to do, but the logistics are always challenging, and everybody's busy doing their thing. But she came to us with a vision, and fortunately, Mr. Downey came to us this year. He had the experience of doing it at a previous school. So that was a great piece that we had. And then Ms. Flynn threw it out, and Mrs. Fine and I said, hey, we don't necessarily know what we're doing, but we'll try it. We know the students. That's the part that we can help out with. And so we just kind of all jumped aboard. And so we recruited some students. We launched our first episode in November. It was a big episode. It was kind of longer than we had anticipated, but there was a lot of issues, a lot of cool things happening at the school. We just had one of the groups, one of the houses go to the hockey game for reward activity. We had the bond issue. We were able to interview Mr. Edwards and so forth. So currently our videos are being disseminated via YouTube, so anybody can access them. We look at 62 subscribers and close to 2,000 views. Yeah, millions of views, it seemed like. Like me watching it over and over again. So we have 11 videos out right now. We have 5 full episodes that we do. Try to do those on Fridays. And then we did some 6 short videos for Thanksgiving, just to have staff members say why they're thankful. So the goal is basically just to deliver relevant news to the student body, to staff, in a somewhat entertaining way, right? But then balance it out with being somewhat professional as well. And we're learning. And as we've done it, as we've grown, the students have taken over a little bit more ownership. I wrote a lot of the first one and kind of really been handing it off since then. And students are getting to the point where they're writing pretty much the entire script, which is a lot more challenging than you might realize. And then our goal by 4th quarter is to get them to do the editing of the video. Mr. Downey, problem is he hit it out of the park with the first one. I think we'll see some clips here, hopefully. And he said the bar's super high. So I knew I couldn't do it. That's why I'm definitely turning it over to the students. And we're going to have them, hopefully, by 4th quarter, editing some video as well. So it's real authentic and, using skills that they learned in class for a presentation, just now doing it in a little different format. So that's generally it. Do you want to show a couple clips, or did you want to do that?
Yeah.
If you're okay with that. And then we're going to finish it off tonight, if you're okay, Mr. Edwards. We usually finish each episode with little rapid fire questions. Right? So we're going to put you on the hot seat.
Warrior to watch, and we have chosen you
Yeah.
as our warrior to watch.
Yes. Now, I'm going to tell you,
You with some questions.
my understanding was that these questions were preloaded normally.
You never know. You never know what happens here. So.
Completely false.
Okay. Yeah, hey.
I'm going to pray this works. We were having technical difficulties.
Very good. We're not gonna put you through the whole. So that was a little intro. When I edit, I just try to make it what would a 14-year-old want to see in the morning on Friday. So I try to integrate as much like stuff that they like. I think a big deal is does the student body want to watch it? They're not going to want to listen, to teacher spiel. They want to hear from the kids. What do the kids like? So this was just a little highlight of our Halloween dance. I won't bore you with the great dance moves. But then we won't show the whole Mr. Edwards interview, but it was awesome that he came over, gave us like a real sense of how to conduct a professional interview. It was about the bond issue. Unfortunately, it didn't pass, so we won't go through that whole spiel again, but it's really good this is Allie, and she did a really good job of being professional conducting an interview. So, and I will say, both the kids that did a piece of the interview, they both were, they took it seriously. They had themselves prepped, ready. How do I look? Big smiles on their faces. You can look at it, just see right there, her composure. So, yeah. And then also shout out Miss Flynn for providing these wireless microphones. We got a green screen, so she really set us up for success. So that was nice. I'll show you like two more things. Here's some highlights from the hockey game that we went to. The first quarter reward.
Stop the beat, won't stop, won't stop, won't stop the beat to go.
Who am I here with?
Cameron Rigsby.
Are you excited for the game? Are you gonna watch it?
I'm going to try to as much as I can.
Who do you think's gonna win?
Hopefully the Cyclones.
Thank you. What's your name?
I thought it was really funny to interview like concession workers. So.
Yeah.
Probably everybody's favorite segment. I brought this over. I actually did broadcasting in high school at Mason, and we did a segment called Kids in the Hall, where you kind of just ask them a question relevant to what's going on today. And this is always a favorite. You get answers you wouldn't believe. So I'll show you a little bit of this.
What candy is your favorite? I like Twix. What candy is trash?
Whoppers.
Whoppers. Okay, what's your favorite? Snickers. That's Halloween candy. Snickers. Twix. Perfect.
So they're asked, what's your favorite? What's your least favorite candy? And then what Mr. Edwards will do, our Warrior Watch, we'd like to nominate somebody who's making a difference every day at GMS that might not get always the rewards and the acclimates they should. So ours was Mr. Olray, one of our awesome custodians. So Mr. Edwards, pay attention.
The dance.
Sky.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
Books or movies?
Of course, movies.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Okay. Salty or sweet?
Sweet.
Sleep or take a nap?
Sweet.
Breakfast food or dinner food?
Dinner food.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Back in time or go to the future?
Go to the future.
Instagram or Facebook?
Facebook.
Or a workout go to another Twitter store?
Goshen!
That was awesome. And shout out, Nick also did a great job on this. Here's our little background that we did.
Bring in tons of items for the food drive.
Obviously, that's not a real background, but green screen. But that's just a very free preview. If you want to check it out, just on Google, just type in, on YouTube, Warrior Watch. We got episodes up. If you want to drop a follow and a like, always appreciate it.
Like and subscribe.
Yep. All right.
All right, we'll hook up Mr. Edwards with a microphone here. Daisy.
Yeah, we are going to be on our next episode.
All right.
We got a microphone on. So, yeah.
Where you want me to go?
You
That's perfect.
I
You
like
good right where you're at?
there, yeah.
Wow.
We'll get the whole board.
Hi, Mr. Benedict.
Like reinforcements that no.
So maybe we should have you guys take a vote to see if we can do this. Wait till we get stuff.
Oh, what? Yeah, I'm gonna ask you the questions.
Yeah.
So do you split the hour over?
We skip away for it. I'm just getting at a distance.
Is this better for you?
When I laugh. It's like this.
Yeah, that's a bunch.
Daisy, you want to go stand close by him so I can get you on my shot?
Yeah.
You mind?
Here, you can sit down next to me.
Everybody's vacating next year.
Everybody.
You're welcome to stay for our entire meeting. It's around 8:30 or 8:45.
No.
All right, Daisy, whenever you're ready.
Dog or cat?
Dog,
Skyline or Gold Star?
skyline,
Pancakes or waffles?
pancakes,
Books or movies?
movies,
Summer or winter?
summer,
Salty or sweet?
sweet,
Airplane or car?
airplane,
Introvert or extrovert?
extrovert,
Beach or mountains?
beach.
Go back in time or go to the future?
Go back in time.
Sleep in or take a nap?
Take a nap.
Work at Goshen or another school district?
Goshen's the only place to be.
Thank you. You passed.
Is that Mr. Edwards? Good job, Daisy.
I also said go back in time. Thank you.
So that just gives you a little snippet of what we do. Obviously, it takes a while to do it, but we usually meet on Mondays, have a production meeting, and then students work on stuff throughout the week. And our goal is to produce it on Fridays. We're probably going to go every other Friday because we've been doing a great thing with a school-wide Kahoot or a game on Friday between the houses. So it ties in with that. Portrait of graduate stuff that Ms. Flynn talked about. So we're doing a lot of great things. It's just a matter of finding all the time to do it. But this has been very rewarding, I know, for us, and I think for the students as well. And we look forward to it just growing from here, and hopefully can produce better quality and just great content from here on out, giving them some authentic experiences. You guys have any questions? These guys are dying to answer questions. They may not look it. But
What's been your favorite experience?
Mine probably doing Kids in the Hall because I like to hear what everybody gets to say, and some of them are really funny.
Mine was being an anchor for the first episode because it was new and it was really fun.
For me, it was probably trying out new things. Sometimes you never know what you're gonna do in an episode, and it's fun. It's all part of the experience.
Mine is being able to change things up and make new creativity in the episodes.
I like being able to record a Christmas episode because I got to hear what different people want for Christmas and hear all the different things.
It's great.
So what are you looking forward to the most about the rest of the year? Learning editing or?
Yeah, I've never done any of the recording or editing yet because I've just been doing the anchor and the questions, but I would like to try maybe the editing to see if I could do it.
I think I'm looking forward to coming up with new ideas for the episodes.
Yeah, same with Nathan.
I want to get experience editing videos and just adding things to them.
Probably the same thing she said and being on camera.
Great.
Has anyone thought of doing this as a career or studying in college? And do you watch the news more? Or is the news is very boring compared to what you guys are doing, so yeah.
I mean, I haven't really thought about it because I don't know, that's just not what I wanted to do, but yeah.
I haven't thought about doing it as a career because, it's fun, but I don't think that I would want to do it for my entire life.
I haven't thought about it as a career because I'm kind of fixed on one career right now. So
I wouldn't want to do this as a career, but I do like having the experience just in case an opportunity comes up.
Stuff like this is probably not something I would want as like a career.
The nice part about this is the skills they're learning could be used in any career. There's always an opportunity to speak, record. Obviously, as media becomes more and more influential in our lives, being able to do something is helpful. It's a way to market. It's a way to sell ideas and communicate thoughts to one another. So what they're doing, and we're having fun doing it, and sometimes it's challenging and it's work, but being that creative piece and trying to put together something that, as Mr. Downey mentioned, how do we target that audience of that, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and making it relevant, funny, informative, communicating all those things. So I like it because it's very real world for them. Deadlines are important. So all the things that we do as adults, they're getting to do at a younger age.
We have a Goshen graduate, my niece, Kelsey Steele. She used to work for USL. She interviewed a lot of professional soccer players, and now she works for the PGA. So she'll hopefully be on the front of the camera again.
I just talked to Mr. Ashley. His daughter's involved in some broadcasting. So there's so many avenues that this can be done, whether it's the main focus of the career or just a side piece. And I like students having that opportunity to do it and showcase their skills. And the thing is, we're finding out is there's some skills here that maybe we didn't recognize at the beginning. And there's so many facets to it, not just being on camera. That's the part everybody sees. There's a lot of work that goes behind, and they're getting to help do that as well.
Very well done.
Great job, guys.
Yes.
Okay, before you sit down, Ms. Flynn, if you'll help me.
Absolutely.
So we have a certificate for you. Listen, the only thing I've got to say is whenever you're brave enough to get on camera in front of 600, 700, 800 people in the morning, plus whoever watches those 200 followers on YouTube, that takes a lot of braveness, and that alone is a outstanding thing that this program teaches you. So I do have a teacher certificate too.
Oh,
Mr.
thank
Dietrich.
you as well.
We appreciate your work, sir. Okay, and Ms. Fine,
Thank you so much.
thank you. Mr. Downey,
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Appreciate
thank you. And then Ms. Flynn, if you'll read certificates, and I'll give them a pen.
Yeah, so this is Daisy. I don't have her certificate. I'm not sure.
No, but she was able to come
A
last
late
minute after
addition.
her game.
Yeah, she was
So-
sure. We'll get that.
Well, Daisy, we'll give you a pen, and we will get you a certificate.
I know a lady who can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He said he would hook it up, yeah.
Okay.
Next is Nathan.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Next is Ingrid.
Oh, my habits all. We're out everything.
Annalise.
Please.
And Francis on the side.
All right, thank you and congratulations. And keep up the good work, learning and growing.
Thanks for having
All
us.
right,
Thank
yeah.
you.
And if you guys can stay for okay, and then we're gonna let everybody go after 3 or 4 minutes because I have one presentation that I want to do. So then we'll just pause after that. So
Could we have the kids stand up front with you guys?
I'd love it.
would you? Sure. Yeah, come on over.
I'm sure the parents who aren't here will love to see the photo after.
That's true.
Come on over.
Flynn wanted one anyway.
Right in the middle there, that's right.
Oh, I actually like this photo idea.
I mean, I helped everybody.
I know. Julie, you might have to switch it up.
It's all good. It's all good. You're good. You're good.
Might have to take-
It's totally fine. It's totally fine.
Thank you all so much. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You're so cute. You're even taller. You guys are so
Alright.
cute.
And if you guys will have some,
It's already
just
like-
like about 2 or 3 minutes here, then we'll let you guys go too, because I have one thing I want to do real quick. unless you guys all want to stay for our next hour and a half of a good time. I mean, I know Daisy wants to stay. So, I mean, Daisy not only wanted to stay, she wanted to run the meeting. So.
I was gonna run for the board.
Daisy, you did leave one rapid fire question out. I thought you'd throw out a
What?
snow day or no snow.
Oh.
You guys need to do an episode on that. That would be a good one.
I would be glad to do an interview on snow days.
We should do one where it should be like, why we should.
Well, you're stimulating way too much conversation.
Make sure you're out on those.
Rogues checking those in the middle of the night that day.
God bless you.
It's just today, this month is also School Board Recognition Month. And so I want to take just a moment to recognize these 5 people for serving our community on behalf of our students, our staff members, and our parents, who some of whom are in the audience, some of whom are watching on YouTube. But I want to thank you on behalf of them. You know, you serve a lot of roles in life. These people, for anybody who doesn't know, these people have full-time jobs. That's not a full-time job. They raise their hand and volunteer and run an election to see who gets to do this. And this is not a full-time job, yet you guys give up a lot of time away from your primary lives, which are being a husband, a wife, a grandparent, a father, a mother, you've got jobs. Some of you, do things outside of our schools, volunteering in other places. So, but you've raised your hands to serve the community of Goshen and to help make a difference in the lives of our kids. So every January, we like to take just a moment and to thank you for helping to establish a vision in our school district, helping to make sure that resources are there so that our students are able to do things, to advocate for public schools, to attend school functions and make sure that we're all doing the right things and accountable to our public. This job contains one meeting a month and then answering a whole lot of emails, phone calls, and attending meetings and things like that outside of that. So I want to take just a moment to thank you for possessing the most important quality of a board member, and that is a love for our students and our staff and our community, because I know that's why you guys do it, because I know every one of you guys. We'll take a moment just to thank you. We have a certificate for you too. They're not used to getting certificates. Okay, so they're going to get a certificate tonight. We have a little gift from us to you too while we're here. So, Mr. Benteen, thank you for your service, sir. Ray, thank you. This is Kate.
sir.
Mr. Herrera. This is Pat Rocky.
Did she?
But thank you guys for your service, and we want you to know you're appreciated from our community and our students and our staff. So
Thank
thank you. And for those of you that would love to stay, you can stay. And for those of you that would like to leave because you have some other obligations, students, make sure all your homework's done. You're welcome to leave. So we will we'll pause for a minute or two, give you a chance to do that. So
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great job,
Good
guys.
Great job.
thanks.
Nice job.
Good job.
Nice job.
Man, this girl, I think it's good.
Great job.
Thank you.
You guys all have a good one. Excellent job.
Always pleasure.
Fine.
I'm gonna have to.
Yes, thank you. Yes, you bet. Got two of them.
We got more than that. I know you do.
Yeah.
I know you do. Appreciate it, Brian. Hey, have a good one.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do.
All right, we'll see you, man.
Yeah, I'll hold you accountable.
Okay, that's the deal. Glenn, I just recruited them to on the treasurer's page.
Yeah.
Our little news.
Okay, so speaking of school boards and effective school boards, while I've got this up here, I have in front of you guys a draft of the A to Z checklist Okay. Several of you responded or proactively gave me stuff to put in here. If you recall, this is a tool that the Southwest Ohio School Boards Association sends us as a kind of a checklist of what is an effective school board. Are you serving the community? Are you serving our students and working effectively together? And then we fill it out, which you guys asked Mr. Schenkel, Mr. Bailey, myself, to fill it out with your input. I sent it to you last Wednesday for review, so I know you've had an opportunity to read it. I do want to just point out a few things on this. It truly is A to Z, 26 of things that effective school districts do. I think A and B go together, and which are committed to a vision of high expectations for student achievement and quality instruction, and defining and monitoring clear goals to reach that vision. And I think that I'm not going to read the 6 bullets under there, but I think what a summary of that would be, you guys work together with district administration to set the portrait of a graduate that Ms. Flynn talked about, which is our overall reaching vision and mission. And that from that, we develop SMART goals and action steps each year as a district that we focus on and meeting the needs of our students. And that's a district-wide. They go down to building level goals and teacher goals. And then each year, we base our treasurer goals, superintendent goals. We give you a report on that at the end of every meeting on where we're at on our goals. C is keeping policies up to date. D is collaborative relationship with staff. I think some of the things that I put in these are, we have staff members serving on various committees that the board already serves on as well. And then we regularly gather staff opinion through Thought Exchange, Google surveys, other tools like that. E, collaborative relationship with the community. How do we collaborate and work together with the community? A couple of bullets in there for, we work really hand in hand to try to meet all needs of our community and our students. The new Health Source partnership this year would be an example of that. The mobile dental clinic that Health Source provided to meet the needs of our students. A couple other bullets that I would point out there is working together with the youth sporting organizations to meet their needs. We don't charge these youth organizations the way many school districts do to utilize our facilities when we don't incur additional cost because we're opening doors for our kids and teaming together with those guys. We also have parent advisory committee meetings. F and G is communications. F is internal. Last bullet there talks about, we got an internal newsletter, Warrior Pride, along with updates inside of each building and monthly building reports at the Board of Education meeting. G is external. We've worked really hard this year refining our communications, instituting the every other week district newsletter. And then I think one of the things that I thought was, we obviously broadcast a live stream of our meetings for transparency purposes. The third bullet, while disappointing that our bond issue was not successful this time, I think it's an illustration of good communications, though, because it was public engagement in the very beginning, soliciting input. It was public engagement sessions. It was Facebook Live sessions. There were plenty of opportunities for input before, and then opportunities after it was not successful to gather input, where we have hundreds of our parents participating through the thought exchange pieces. So I think those are good two-way communications, because communication is two ways. And your quality profile should be in your mailbox any day. It's done at the printer, so I'm just not sure what's holding up our post office and that piece of communication there. But H is using data to drive continuous improvement. On there, I pointed out 3 things. We pointed out 3 things. 1, studying enrollment growth on our district facilities. 2, local report card data, financial data, all those pieces are used to make decisions. And the third one, an energy dashboard that we monitor on a daily basis to make sure that we're controlling costs. All those are pieces of using data. I's, aligning and sustaining resources. I'm just going to point out that we try to use our dollars and where it makes a difference, and that's in the classroom. And I think the second bullet does that. Goshen spends a higher percentage of funds on classroom instruction than any other district in Claremont County. We put it right where the kids are at because that's where it should be spent. 70.6% of our dollars are spent right there. And that's a lot. When you start talking about school buses are a huge bill. We spent $3 million a year on busing. And that's not in the classroom. And electric bills, $400,000 a year. So you start right there. That's over 12% of our budget right there. So most of the dollars that we have the ability to spend, we spend at the classroom. So then go to J. This is what we truly do, high academic standards. And I think this is where we've made a big difference. The first bullet talks about that we've seen a big impact of COVID on our kids and their learning. But instead of making excuses or lowering standards, we've invested money in trying to close gaps, academic and mental health gaps. Some examples there were we spent a lot of money on resources and intervention in the academic areas to improve early literacy. We've hired additional elementary aides, kept class sizes down, and hired an additional literacy coach to help support our teachers, and a math interventionist and specialist, and additional tutors district-wide. We've got a lot of work to be done, but some of the next couple of bullets point out some of the good things that we've seen. On the local report card this year, we got 4 stars in achievement, 3 on early literacy. Remember, 3 stars means you're doing your job, you're doing well. 5 stars in gap closing, 5 stars in the graduation rate, and 3 on progress. And just some of the other neat data points below it with some of the independent rating companies, with Goshen being 16th in the school district, it's one of the school greater Cincinnati area, and 104th out of 607 in Ohio in their rankings. So, number K, serving with the Superintendent's United Team. L, participating in team development training. M, professional development. Heck, we have to arrange our November board meeting because you guys believe that going to Capitol Conference is important. And we had all 5 board members at Capitol Conference. I don't know many boards of education that had that. You guys have also attended new board member training sessions. You all go to the Southwest OSBA, and I think most of you have been through the Board Leadership Institute training. N and O, you work with us to set measurable and attainable goals. The treasurer and superintendent. P, collaborate with business leaders. We do that through our Business Advisory Council, which I should say award-winning Business Advisory Council last year. So, O, focusing on policy, avoiding micromanagement. R, policy again. Are we updating them? Being seen and visible during a building. You guys are always to be found at ball games, chaperoning, supporting through ways that most board members don't necessarily do or have to do, but you've even got your Adopt a Building program as part of that, being out in the buildings. Communicating with legislators and being advocates for public education. We've sent letters on various forms of legislation, and we've had some of those lawmakers inside of our district to see what happens inside of our schools. We're going to be doing the annual audit report, which I want to mention again was a clean and good audit with our treasurer on January 31st in our finance committee meeting. And the V's, practice fiscal accountability. We're always pursuing grant funding. And the second bullet there, I think, is some really good evidence of that we spend $1,156 per pupil less than the average district in the state of Ohio. That's per the state of Ohio report card, and still provide a great high quality education at affordable price to our taxpayers. And we keep the cost down to our taxpayers. They only pay 26% of that cost versus 42% statewide. The others are attending regional meetings, Capitol Conference, but I want to go back to the last one that I put on the back page, which is Tornado Strikes Goshen Township, another way of exhibiting its effectiveness. And I just wrote a little summary there of what happened and how our schools became the hub of a lot of the tornado recovery, hosting the Red Cross, meeting initial needs of community members, working with community groups like the Lions Club, Citizens Police Academy, Goshen Community Church, Goshen Education Foundation. I keep going to provide cook meals, provide shelter, immediate food and household goods relief, mental health services, and you guys were to be found everywhere volunteering. There's a couple of you that I knew when I showed up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you weren't going to be far behind. And a couple of you guys closed the doors with me at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. One of you drugged me out of here one night late. So, I think that's an example of, working with your community. So I put that one down there. So there's tons of other stuff in there. But I didn't really want to review all those. I know you guys have seen them, but questions or things that you should have thought we missed or should have been, Mr. Herrera, I made the correction on the online version that you gave me yesterday, but it's not reflected here. So this is the paper version. Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, this is Dietrich, really good. She's on. You guys have any suggestions, additions, or changes that you haven't already given me?
It's great.
It makes me
Looks
proud
okay.
when I watch it. So.
Great. So we need a motion and a second to approve this so he can submit it.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
Either way.
Mr. Schenkel, you call the roll.
Just real quick, was that Bill? You
Bill
the first
and
and I missed the second.
Julie.
Okay. Sorry about that. Mrs. Paprocki,
Yes.
Mr. Rare,
Yes.
Mrs. Casey,
Yes.
Mrs. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Benty.
Yes.
So I'll give the winter storm damage, then I'll let Schenkel go to tornado repairs. When I received a phone call December 25th from our local fire department that the pipes had burst in Mrs. Didcombe and Mrs. Haas's room, just to let you guys know. First of all, I want to thank our maintenance staff. 4 of those individuals were up there that night with Rudy and I and Mr. Smith, Troy Smith, Mark Hook principal, and Mr. Bailey came up, the Burns family, and about 4 firefighters. We squeegeed out I don't know how many gallons of water after getting the leak stopped, and brought in the restoration company. They did a great job. Dried walls, dried carpet, gave us a clean bill that everything's dried out so that we should have no problems in the future with any mold issues or anything. Blew hot air into walls to dry them out, by the way. It was really, and then ceilings, there's a neat process. I really think a large part of it, it's all going to be on an insurance claim. I think that it's directly from the tornado. Those rooms aren't coincidental. When we got up there, you could actually look up the top of that concrete wall. It looked like about half the insulation was there that should have been there. And so it's just not something you would have looked for. I guess the people who came in and evaluated our buildings didn't catch it. And so we did have an insulation company come in and do the whole front side of Mark Hook that faced the tornado. Anyways, we didn't assume it was just those 2 rooms. The community banded together and replaced one of our teachers' items for a second time in their case. And we have most everything replaced, teachers' materials and stuff. But everything was clean. Alpha Omega did a great job cleaning stuff up afterwards. So we were clean and ready to rock and roll. But this will be insurance claim part 2.
So we got a separate claim. You see that on our financial. There's another one under the tornado. So we'll have that on there. And I can tell you, it was not anything to do with our maintenance guys. We had the heat cranking because we knew it was, when it was that cold, and we were monitoring it. And so it was just very unfortunate that happened. And I think the only thing it's the blessing in disguise is that it was actually where the sprinkler heads went, or if that other water line, it would have went for,
Hot water. Yeah, the hot water line was broken in one of the 2 rooms, and that could have been running for 2 days. So because the 26th was a holiday, so it could have.
It really could have been. Oh my gosh.
So let's roll into the tornado.
Well, the tornado, we've been blessed in a lot of ways. A lot of the stuff is getting done. It's just finalizing the cost. I know the original person that was working with us got moved. So, it took quite a while before we actually got, I don't know what the actual term what they call it, but it's like all of our costs and what they came up with. And we actually met with Meredith today on a conference call to just make sure we know exactly what we're talking about, because it's not very easy to read, to be honest with you. I mean, like in there, there's detail by building, and then you try to get that detail and roll it to the overall total, and it's not the same. And we're really like, okay, so what are we doing here? And really, at the end of the day, they gave us we are right around $5.2 million for all of our items. And looking at that, that's replacing like all the metal on the roof and fixing everything. I mean, so we're really blessed in that respect that they're getting that. They looked at doing the glass block. We actually are going to go the other route and put in storefront all the way around. And they gave us money to do literally everything on the MAR side of MAR Cook.
So if you don't know what storefront is, the glass block on MAR is going to disappear. That will all be windows. It'll really give it a nice modern look, and it'll be much more energy efficient.
Yeah, they're more thermal, pane glass and all that kind of stuff. So we are actually meeting on Wednesday to come up with the final design. I mean, we're trying to get the design for the gym floor and get that kind of set up. And then now it's going to be, once we get all the contracts, everything done, it'll really be scheduling it, because that's probably one of the things. I mean, I know Mr. Bailey, with the calendar, I don't mean anything bad, but it's just like, all right, we got to make sure that, we're having enough days. We have to push this back and then, get in there. So like on the Mark Cook side, scheduling cleaning on top of putting in the glass, and then we can't put the gym floor in before we get the gym, the gym roof fixed. I mean, things like that to really plan it out. And, this will be the majority of the items that will be getting done. And it's big dollar items on all the roofing, the middle school roof as well, and all that. But our insurance has been really overall fantastic. I mean, it's a $2,500 deductible, and we're going to get about $5.2 million. And really overall, we're really blessed. So I don't think did I miss anything on that.
I don't think so.
Any questions on it?
I don't have a question on that because we've kind of covered this, but on the flooding, I'm sure, but are we making sure that like nothing's coming out of the teachers' pockets? I know that teachers fund so much of their own stuff.
Mr. Smith has literally been to every room, asking them for a list of things, items, because we're compiling that for insurance and telling them that this will all be covered. What you need now, we'll go ahead and buy. We'll get reimbursed this way. We dealt with the tornadoes. We took care of what needed to be done. And then we worried about the money later, getting reimbursed and stuff. So yes, they should have been taken care of. I'm not saying somebody's not going out and buying something, but they've all been notified. That's a good question.
I just want to make sure we're really encouraging them to take advantage of the resources, because I know they already fund so much out of their own pockets.
They do. I mean, but they like, as far as that, I mean, like all the contents, I mean, like one of her car got ruined too. So we're doing all that and get that all submitted in there. But so far, like everything that she's had, I mean, she's worked with Mrs. Scherzinger and got a couple of, I know we've done some racks to get some of the supplies for those teachers that you missed. So try to work with them.
Minute on those? You guys get on those? So the next one on facilities under old business is just, I brought back to you guys a timeline because we know we got to keep revisiting the bond issue and what we're going to do. Because our needs aren't going to go away. We know we have to still talk about it. When we left in December, we talked about doing, that we were not going to run in May. That we were going to take some steps back and re-examine alternatives, choices that would still meet our needs. So what I've got up there on this slide is if we were to run a November bond issue, what the timeline is, because we have to work backward to see what work needs to be done and a timeline for that. So of course, that's got a November, I believe that's 7th election day. August 9th, file with the Board of Elections, which a resolution of intent has to be due August 1st, going backwards, July 10th. We need a resolution of necessity and special needs application due to the state, which would mean that we would have to make a decision prior to that July 10th meeting. So I just put up there the June 12th board meeting. With obviously you have a 23rd meeting in June, and you could always schedule another meeting if you wanted to. But those are an example of the timeline. If somebody asked me about a May timeline, and that's the one that we simply just have gone through. So you should be very familiar with that, which would be a decision in December. So looking at that, I wanted to share with you guys a timeline for work to be done prior to either one of those considerations. These are also on the desk in front of you. I don't really want to get in depth on anything tonight. I just want to see, do you guys like the timeline? This is something we can work with, and then we'll start producing from there. January 31st, we have a finance committee meeting, and I think that that finance committee, 2 board members sit on there, a few community members, can talk about some different ways and maybe choices or pieces of financing. And speaking with Elevar, Elevar recommends, and I recommend, that in January, February, March, we would go through a core group meeting with them of the administrative team, doing a little mini master planning. You know, we did a whole master plan. Here's what our facilities look like. This time, all we want to do is to say, let's check it. Let's check it. It's been well over a year since we've done that. Does it still meet our needs? Do we know thoroughly what's included in here? Are we on track for what we need? What are the costs of those items? Are there possible changes or tinkering of something inside of that? Are there choices that can be made in there? Or sorry, I shouldn't say choices, but options that can be made in there to come up with those things, as well as, okay, what happens if we don't do anything? What would be backup plans cost? And what would it cost us to not do something? And so you're not totally rebuilding the master plan, but we're revisiting the master plan. At which point in time in March, we have a facilities committee that multiple ones of you sit on as well too, that we can take that information somewhat in later March and present that to our facilities committee, where our facilities committee could provide some feedback on that. And then get that information to bond council in April. And at the April 17th board meeting, present, here are some possible options, Board of Education, and asking you what other options are necessary. At that point in time, we could have a discussion of options at the second April meeting, which would typically is our annual retreat. Now, should we all along the way, particularly in April, obviously all this other work has to be done. But you see in there's no decision on running a bond issue, because now we just flip over to the next slide again, which would say then, okay, so if we go to that late April meeting, then we can have discussions in May, we can have discussions in June, when a decision would need to be made if you're running something in November. Obviously, if you'd made a decision to push that to a different point in time, then that timeline gets bumped back. But honestly, we need to start working on this now with LMR. Questions, comments? Does that appear to be a pretty workable timeline before I ask you about an April date?
Yeah.
A lot of this is based on all the discussions that you guys we've had together. I mean, we just tried to put it together in a way that seemed to make sense. I've talked to LMR. They're ready to get to work with us along the way. I'll bring back a report of what we've done each board meeting to get any feedback or whatever. Sound good? Yep. So if that's the case, the last date on there was April 22nd. I've written those down as a possible dates for our annual retreat where we do goal setting and we can discuss facilities at. Thoughts? Is there a date you like?
That must be Saturday.
Those are Saturdays. If you want to go with a day during the week, we could go with a day during the week. Obviously, we'd have to start much earlier. You guys have traditionally done it on a Saturday. That's why we gave you those two.
No
Do you want to
preference.
stick with the Saturday?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay. Does anybody have a preference? 22nd or
I'm gonna say
29th?
the 22nd, but I'd probably have to scoot out at lunchtime.
I can't, I mean, UC graduates on 29th.
Yeah, so that's a no.
22nd.
Okay.
22nd.
Works, yeah, you
22nd. We can start as early as you'd like, Julie. I mean, you run a coffee shop. We start at 5:30 a.m.
That's right. It's like you need a coffee, right?
My alarm doesn't
Right?
set that early.
Not on a Saturday?
What is it usually? Isn't it like 8 to
I think we usually start at like 8 and we get done around 1 or 2. We could certainly start at 7:30 and
Be
probably
done by
be done.
12:30? That would be awesome.
Is the,
You guys okay with that?
is the 22nd, 29th the only options?
No,
But you want it after,
it needs to be after April,
22nd?
17th.
after the board meeting,
after it's 17th. It needs to be after the board meeting.
which was pushed.
Yeah.
Because of spring break, right?
I mean, because April 10th, yeah. April 17th is the board meeting, got pushed back a week. 'Cause
Great.
We originally had another one in there. I mean,
No, it's all right.
I was gonna say, we could probably do May. First week of May, I mean, if that's,
I'll make the 22nd work.
I mean, I could, during the week is okay with me too. I'm like this flexible. So I mean,
Right?
I don't know if it works for your guys' work schedule. I mean, it might be better
I mean,
for
we've
you,
never
Deborah, but.
Done it during the week, but what would that look like, do you think?
you probably need to give yourself the ability to do 5 hours.
Mhm.
Right? It may not take us that long, but I always like.
What does that look like for all of you though? Because I know that's also a work day for
It'd be a
you.
long day, but
I've started at like 4.
So an
Okay, I think
evening.
Saturday's better,
Right.
excuse me. I'm pretty flexible, but I don't know about that flexible.
4 to 9, she's
Yeah.
like, bedtime.
okay, because it would need to be evening to pull
Right.
all.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
that
evening's
long.
fine. Oh, I was thinking AM. I was like, oh,
What
Lord.
about doing the 22nd?
Yeah.
What about the 22nd? John suggested.
What about the 22nd, start at 7:30,
Okay,
and we'll live with it? How's that? Is that good
work
for everybody?
Yeah.
Julie, is
Does
that all
work
right?
for you? Mhm. Does that work for you?
Okay.
And that would be more than facilities, obviously, that'd be some goal setting pieces and things like that. Okay. So all I have on the facility stuff there, it's a lot, I know.
Okay, we don't have anybody for public participation.
I think so.
Okay. Moving on to 9B, financial. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
Mr. Schenkel, you call the roll?
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mrs. Casey,
yes.
Mrs. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Benteen,
Yes.
Mrs. Paprocki,
Yes.
Personnel motions, 9C. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Schenkel, you call the roll?
Mrs. Casey,
Yes.
Mrs. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Benteen,
Yes.
Mrs. Paprocki,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera.
Yes.
9D, miscellaneous. Do I have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Schenkel, call the roll?
Mrs. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Blumenthal,
Yes.
Mrs. Pepperrock,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Mrs. Casey.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us up to the Board of Education reports. Mrs. Gray, you have anything?
I do not. I was just gonna update that. I was able to go up and help with the classroom clean out and while heartbreaking for our teachers that have now been hit a few times, it's good to see the community come together and so many people step up and help in different ways. So, you know, that darn Mark Cook, it's been hit hard now a few times and everybody should just be thinking of all of them. You know, things are hard. So, and thank you to all of you who stepped in and helped on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Mrs. Casey?
So I had my last meeting at Great Oaks, and it was also our treasurer's last board meeting and our HR director's last meeting. So you're getting new people. It'll be nice. So I was on the finance committee. So I mean, there's really, you guys can see their financials. But the only thing is, if you guys aren't following their social media, I would suggest doing so. They put up some pretty cool. They do a lot of stuff student centered. But like live down here, like I drive by it every day. I have not been in there in several years, but the renderings, like digital renderings, I guess you could say, of what the rooms are going to look like, the different areas that they're putting into that school, seriously are going to be so cool. Like it's exciting for the kids that are going to be going there in the next couple of years because they're really stepping up. They do, I know I've said this a couple meetings ago, but they are also changing the way that you're able to apply to go there, which I think it's different, but I think it's good different. So there are a lot of programs that are very, very full and that have waiting lists, and then there are some programs that aren't. So now they're doing like a lottery system. So if you don't get into something, then they have many different options, and they're kind of hoping that will kind of plug some people into different things that they wouldn't have already thought of. So they are changing the way that they're doing things. They're getting some pushback from parents and stuff, but they're handling it beautifully. So they're gonna love you. I've already said it. So so good luck.
I met with Harry and Brian.
Did you? Good.
So,
Oh, that's awesome.
This morning. So,
And then you have a meeting Wednesday. Yeah, exciting.
I'll be on the finance committee as well.
Yes, okay. Oh, that's good. They're a good group. You'll like them.
Good.
Mr. Herrera?
I don't have anything.
Okay.
Although I did come up this week, catch our academic quiz team. That was fun. And then went over to the middle school and watched our 7th and 8th grade girls beat Wyoming. Our quiz team beat Williamsburg. So yeah, school up in Columbus, they have a hard time beating schools in blue, but our Goshen teams have no problem at all. Beat Williamsburg and Wyoming both. It was
Give
good.
a guy a couple of victories. Look what happened.
We did. Crushed them. Our quiz team crushed them. Our girls basketball teams crushed them. It was great. No, but I enjoy this time of year. Lots of things to check out.
Good.
Yeah.
Mrs. Pavrocky doesn't have anything? So
Nope.
she's going to be our new township
Oh,
liaison
lucky.
lady, so.
Then I'll start to ask.
Moving right along, we're up to Mr. Edwards for superintendent's report.
Obviously, we only had a few weeks of school, so a lot of stuff going on as far as getting ready second semester. If you look under your goals, areas 1 and 2, I'm going to combine to simple discussion of the winter benchmark assessments, winter tests to see where the kids are at, measuring using things from Procore to Acadians to MAP to restart readiness in all of our buildings to make adjustments mid-year in instruction, who's receiving intervention, who the interventions are. So we're working on doing that. I think it's a good example of everyone's work. Under the second bullet, early literacy, the little victories. 9 second graders, 2 first graders, and 16 kindergartners have left title and are back to regular target time groups. So there's 27 kids who the intervention made a difference. and then they're moved back and out of the intervention, and then some grading spots for someone else, which actually we didn't need those at literacy, we need those at math. So we utilize those in that manner. So just shows you how you use that data to help support our students. College career readiness, Mr. Dubs gave me a credentialing update that we had 10 students get credentials in leadership excellence. There's a description of that. What it is and what it requires, like 16 hours of classroom instruction and a hands-on practicum demonstrating their leadership skills. And then they have a final exam to get that ODE approved credential. And an NCCER one, which is a competency in materials handling by the National Craft Association certification program. And we had Where To Day on December 16th. District-wide, we did something everywhere. Speed mentoring for our juniors and seniors. Great experiences watching those guys hang out and talk to people from our community to learn about careers. Grade 9 did the Pathful Explorer, which is a way of explaining or exploring careers through a virtual program. Grade 8 saw the presentation on Live Oaks. Grade 7, I don't know why I divide that up there, participate in the Uber financial literacy game. Learning what, if I was an Uber driver, I had 2 kids to support, $1,000 mortgage payment, how do I do that? And then at Spalding, they did career interest surveys. Yes, is down as early as that. 5th grade actually had done it before, and they did a project based on their survey. And our Mark book, they saw a presentation by a local author, Julie Whitney, on Astra the Lonely Airplane, and her husband was in there in a pilot's uniform. So, under 4 technology, we did a complete network upgrade over Christmas. Kudos to Rick Davis, our support person. And Mark Slagle, under his direction, this was done with HCC, came in. Everything essentially is new wireless access points, the cables, the switches, paid for out of E-rate that we applied for that funding. It should provide a much more stable network, faster network to help meet our needs of our kids. Not only this year, but hopefully for several years to come. I do say several years because it probably was only about 4 or 5 years ago when we actually did a lot of our wireless access points originally. But I asked him for a statistic, and he said their spots were it's 10 times faster. So I can take that. So, communication, we've got 2 district newsletters. We're emailed, quality profile, I talked about that. We've had building newsletters going out. And just an update on 6 student development. Outsource work is done. A lot of it was done over Christmas. Mr. Bentine happened to come up this last week. I took him on a tour so he could see. Literally, you can visualize the security now. I know that was a concern of a couple of citizens, and you can, even though it's not, you can see how it's very clearly designated from the rest of the school. And people ask, how do you get your space? Well, we carved it out of the bathrooms at the board office. Remember, we had those massive bathrooms because they were locker room stalls, and the occupational therapy room. So, I mean, that's where we found the space. You kind of see a construction phase now. I mean, it's we're down on closet space. We had to get really original and creative there a little bit. So building shelves in the bathrooms and things like that. But when it comes to meeting the needs of our kids, we'll make a few changes. So, and that's not going to be open till after spring break. And that's about all I have, except just some reminders of dates down there. And the Audit Finance Committee meeting, business recognition breakfast for anybody that can attend. And then I had a flyer. The Alumni Association is doing a different dinner, and they're calling it the Red and Gray Soiree. So it is, you can see it's celebrating. I put a flyer there. Past and present and future warriors, Saturday, March 25th at 6 p.m. if, it's not only, my understanding, it's not only for alumni, but it's also for supporters of the school that would like to attend. And I will find more details out at the Alumni Association meeting tomorrow night. But I think that they're looking forward to a little different event. Their current dinner, which was well attended, but hasn't been held in at least 2 years because of COVID. They haven't held it, maybe 3. And they typically hold it in May. And May, we are doing the gym floor. I think they see this as an opportunity to try something a little bit different and give it a whirl and see how it works. So if you're interested, you can register at the barcode there. So that's all I have, sir.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? Well, with that, Melissa and I are on the audit committee, so we'll take care of that before the next meeting. And
Got your invite today.
with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? So we'll adjourn at 8:11.